right, Sick Week 2026, freaking epic. And before I get into telling you about 2.0 and all our problems and the struggle bus and our plans with that and what we have to do, this Cyclone, the Cyclone was epic. Non-stop, we had it down in Florida. It literally did not miss a beat, put over 1,000 miles on it. Sorry, now it's over 19,000 miles, original miles on it. But this thing is epic, and it's as cool as anything. That it is cooler than I even thought they were, because I've dreamt of this car since I was a little kid. And, well, not a little kid, I was an adult by the time they came out. But either way, we have restocked for the third time the Cyclone shirt. This thing keeps selling out every single time. So Cyclone shirt, here's a picture of it, live back on the site. Go grab that. Plus the Sick 2026 hoodies, the stuff that's left over from Sick Week, that's all on the website. I think there's some banners left, stuff like that, Sick Week memorabilia. Every dollar you spend gets you an entry to win the Cyclone. And I'm telling you, I'm sure you will love it as much as I love it. And hey, I hate to give it away to you, but sickthemag.com, get your entries. All right, although Sick Week 2026 didn't work out the way we hoped personally as an event, off the charts. I mean, the event continues to grow every year. The amount of spectators that come to it, the caliber of cars that are there. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. Like the A and B cars have now surpassed the C and D cars as far as car count in that. And when I say that, if you don't know, the A and B are the faster cars. Those would be the sub 10-second cars. And then C and D is, call them the slower than 10-second cars. So we finally have like a good mix of C and D cars as well as A and B cars. And A and B cars, the level that they keep getting to, I mean, just completely off the charts. So definitely amazing. The cold weather, I mean, it was the coldest it had been in Florida since 2010. So we had a whole week of records of how cold it was. Actually, not a whole week. We had 2-3 days of it, but definitely was cold. I don't know if that led to a lot of fast guys going out or not. I know it wasn't the reason for me going out, but yeah, I mean, just definitely cold. So, but as the week went on, everything warmed up. We had to do a lot with the schedule to try and accommodate the cold track conditions, the cold air conditions. I mean, anything that could be thrown at us got thrown at us. But to take it 2.0, 2.0, we have it tore apart now. So it is tore apart. I dropped the engine off to Steve. Transmission, there was no issues with transmission, but dropped that off to Rosler for them to go through that, make sure that's all good. Last thing I want to do is get that fixed and then go there. But to take you through all our path to be there, because I was as prepared as I've ever been, and it's always tough when we're the ones putting on the event to be able to concentrate on that. But we have such a great team that helps put on the event. I mean, we travel with over 40 people that are at the track every day, making sure to give everyone the best experience possible. And I guess I guess before I get to some of the stuff with 2.0, Sick Prep. Sick Prep was on par. Thomas and the guys, like literally we had the coldest track conditions where most tracks or events would not run, and we were able to provide a safe racetrack. And that's the biggest thing. Being able to provide a racetrack is one thing, but a safe racetrack where it is not slippery out there, it's not too cold out there where people are slipping and sliding. Definitely Thomas, Sick Prep, they nailed it. So you'll see them a lot of events doing the stuff. I mean, that's Thomas's gig. I mean, we're just kind of along for the ride helping with that. But off the charts with what they did, and talked to the big tire guys. And they did not have the same complaint we've had for 4 years. That's what we really set out to do, is get to a point to where you're not saying that you put me down on a radial track. So we did a lot to make sure we provided the best slick track we could, as well as the best radial track. Obviously, Devin showing you that, hey, radial was on par with how it's been at every Sick Week, but also big tires on par with the best big tire events that are out there. So that definitely kudos to Sick Prep and getting all that done. So 2.0. 2.0, I mean, you go back to last year at Sick Week, definitely we were fighting to get there. We dealt with the issue to where we only got the one pass. I crossed the center line with it, and basically I ended up with no time. So we did go to the NHRA shootout deal. I can't remember what they called that, but it was at Bradenton last year, but it's where the, man, I can't think of the name of the event. But Great event that went on there. We actually dropped the valve at that event. The valves were old, so basically my sick week last year probably would end with a dropped valve shortly later, just based on what happened. But we went to a full refresh. Steve put all new components, new rods, pistons. Actually, even he repaired the head, but then new complete heads with new valves, everything on them. We ran that last year. We took that from after the NHRA race to where obviously ended tragically. So we went to Rockingham at the Sick on the Rock, or Sick at the Rock. So we went there, me and Lutz, and I mean, basically we were both 380 bracket cars on that track. I think we made 6 passes in the 380s at that track. It was an 8th mile event. And I mean, just on kill, fine tuning everything with the tune up, fine tuning everything with it, everything in great shape. Actually, my weekend ended, we broke the rear gear, racing the Pro Mod race, which the guy that I was beating, I was actually ahead of him when the rear gear broke. He actually ended up winning the event. So maybe I could say I would have won the event if I was in place of him, but probably not the case. But broke the rear gear. So we left there, and next on the thing was NHRA Chicago for us. So got the car ready, went to Chicago. Now it's quarter mile time. Literally, once again, I mean, a bracket car that we're running, we ran 570s and 580s all day, 6 passes. We did 50-mile cruise because that's when we go to that NHRA thing, it's call it a very mini drag and drive, but we were able to test and run. We made a cruise down Route 66 to some checkpoints or whatever, went and had lunch and everything, brought it back to the track, and still 580 bracket pass. We had, on the last pass, winning the event, we actually lost our fuel regulator line came off, so we lost fuel pressure going down the track and leaned it out. So when we leaned it out, we nipped the plug. I mean, everything, so we good. It blew the burst panel out of it, and we ended up changing a couple rods and pistons with it. We had a lot of other stuff going on, but we changed some stuff, a couple parts out to then get it ready, which I actually thought would run later in the year. So it was ready to go most of the year after that NHRA Chicago race, but our priority went on to other cars, other vehicles, doing the other stuff, to where it basically sat until we took it to Florida. We took it to Florida in November, and it sat down there in Florida, was planning on getting down there and testing with it, and ended up not just being able to work out, being able to go and test with it down there until, I think it was January, early January, finally it got down there to test. Went to Bradenton. That's where got everything down there, unloaded, and before that we did go to Steve's shop and just work on the street tune. So we did run it on his hub dyno. He had a video of that, but just literally working on the street tune to make sure that part of the car was dialed in before it went to Florida. We went to a different valve spring configuration. We left to go to Florida and dropped it off down there. And like I said, when we went to go run at Bradenton the first time, all the valve springs were rusty. It had never had, since it got new pistons in it, or the 2 pistons replaced, everything was tore apart completely. I won't say completely, but everything was tore down to where the complete fuel system was drained, everything was flushed out, and the engine was only ran on gasoline from the time it was put back together all the way until it sat in Florida until Bradenton. We really thought that it was always methanol that caused the rusty valve springs with it. Well, obviously it was not, because rusty valve springs. Give it to Nolan Adiski. He overnighted us valve springs. I swapped out all the valve springs at the track. We made a couple passes at the track with it. We did have some oil on a couple of the spark plugs, so definitely was concerned. This was the first time it's been ran on methanol since after the Chicago race, when we replaced a couple pistons with it. So was able to get a couple passes in there and say that, okay, well, this definitely, we need to pull this stuff out and replace the rings. So that's what we did, is Steve got us a set of pistons and rings, or actually not pistons, just rings. So we got a set of rings for it. We took it apart, we swapped the rings out, put new rings in it, went to Orlando with it the week after to go test, and money. I mean, it was back to where was not smoking, no oil on the spark plugs. Freaking car, we coasted out the back to a 590 and to a 582. The one pass I actually would have probably set my record for the quarter mile pass, because we were 382 at 209 to the eighth, and when I went 577 before, that was like 388 at 205 or 206. So definitely we had the mile per hour and everything that if would have ran that one out the back. But our day ended there by the oil pump belt breaking. So the oil pump belt broke and the fuel pump is with it. So we lost fuel pressure and everything on the track. So whatever, back to repair it mode. Take it back to the garage at Tampa, tear everything down. This time we put, what do we do? Had to do rings. We did rings again. We did bearings. We did one piston and rod. I mean, nothing was hurt too bad because it killed everything. It was mostly the bearings that it had got. So replaced all that stuff. All seems perfect. Now it's time to go to Gainesville to get ready for sick week. So literally, yep, we had issues that had happened, but all our passes were great, leading all the way up to this. And then we go to Gainesville. First pass off the trailer at Gainesville, perfect. 380 run, we go to make a couple changes to it to basically be ready for different track conditions. Well, we stuck the tire, so it shook pretty hard. Well, in hindsight, when we go back, I guess I won't tell you that part yet. I'll just say we made another correction to it and didn't like it, so we threw that day away on those two passes because that was the first time all in a year that hadn't been able to get down the track. So threw those passes away, went back to our normal tune-up, our other tune-up, and it went right down the track. Now the only thing is, when it went right down the track that time, the cylinders were hot and it was lean. So trying to figure out what happened there. So I pulled the injectors off, took the injectors to KSR to just go through, flow them on, I mean, he says low flow bench, but just to make sure that they're all flowing, everything's working correctly, everything good. So now we spent the Saturday and the Sunday leading up to the event trying to chase what might be wrong. We did change the bearings again because we'd squished some bearings because, I mean, it was hot. So it was definitely making a lot of power. So, but we couldn't figure out why, because this tune-up should not have been that hot. We kept blaming it on the air conditions, that it was so cold there, that the air was just so good. Well, then day one of sick week, go out there to make the pass. Great to the 8th mile. After that, it sneezes, blows the burst panel. Definitely same thing, leaned out again on the whole thing, and we actually burnt the cylinder head. So as looking at the data and going through everything, it's found out some stuff was inconsistent in the electronics. Well, we traced everything back that we actually had a loose ground on the chassis. It's up by the transmission. Well, the injector drivers are on that. So is the coil drivers. So therefore, it would cause inconsistent firing of the injectors, which would be why we were not getting enough fuel. And so literally, once we figured it out, it had started on the shake pass the day before. So that's where that had happened. Obviously, it couldn't have been too tight, because if the shake pass was enough to loosen it already, and that just, I mean, it tells you that you got to nut and bolt everything to make sure that everything's tight and everything's ready to go. And I feel like in hindsight, I wish that we would have done a full nut and bolt on the car, check everything completely, and we would have found that. The other is the fact that it would have been an easy find when we had the car in the air, because we actually put the car up in Steve's trailer, went through it, and that ground was literally right next to the transmission. That would have been an easy find. It would have been a great aha moment that happened on Sunday prior to that run. But so cylinder head is hurt, so we tear the cylinder head off. We had a spare cylinder head. In hindsight, wasn't prepped completely because we went to, like I said, at Steve's shop, we went to triple valve springs, a different valve spring setup. So the spare head didn't have the right valve springs on it. So we did have to swap all that at the track, but took all that together. A bunch of other competitors jumped in to help with helping us get everything done to then hit the road with it, which, I mean, it was pretty easy. It was the temperature that was the biggest thing because it was so cold. It was hard to work on the car, but I guess reverse that. If it was 100 degrees, it'd be hard to work on the car as well. We got on the road about midnight, heading up towards South Georgia. So smooth drive, other than going through a decent amount of oil, which should have been the other telltale sign, but it's like, didn't know why the car was using so much oil. I mean, literally, we went through, I think, 8 quarts of oil to do the 130-mile drive, which that car never uses. I mean, maybe on a 200-mile drive, you had a quart of oil. Like, it does not burn a lot of oil. Definitely smoking quite a bit, as if you saw the live stream from the day 2, that you can definitely see as we start to put it up on the trans brake and stuff. But we made to South Georgia, no problem, made to the hotel. We got in about 2:30 in the morning, something like that. Got up the next day, head to South Georgia, go through everything. We'd found our ground issues, so we're hoping, well, we thought we were in good shape because we had actually found that the day before, and go up to make the first pass. I mean, it is smoking like a freight train. So smoke rolling out of it, and all of a sudden it lost cylinders, and whatever, no launch, drove down the track, turned around, bring it back, go through. We clean out everything because there's got to be oil. We're looking at it saying it's oil putting out the plugs. We're thinking it's coming from the turbos, not sure where it's coming from, but we clean out the turbos, or clean out the intake, do everything to get as dry as possible, go up there to make a pass with it. Same thing, smoking pretty bad. There's a lot of crankcase pressure that you can tell from the vent in the deck lid that normally that thing smokes a little bit, as that's where your crankcase pressure, basically your puke tank back there. But it was puffing pretty hard. I mean, obviously I don't see it in the car, but puffing pretty hard, go down, start to go down the track, had a decent short time. It was slow, like we definitely were running the car as slow as we could, but run it down the track and something pops at the whatever before the 8th mile. So coast and bad pass, bring it back to the pits, and now we had hurt the other cylinder head. So what we believe happened is on the pass where we hurt the one cylinder head, we actually hurt the other one as well, just not as bad. So we didn't catch it. So that head we think was already hurt as well. We crushed the bearings again. So basically with the drive day, we worked on stuff and everything, and then we went to the hotel, had a good night's sleep, came back on the drive day, assessed everything, and it came down to the fact that we had parts overnighted, so we had pistons, we had everything, but there were no connecting rods. And as much as we had smashed the bearings in these connecting rods, we knew we could not continue to use them. We had random used ones that were like in case of emergency, but we didn't have a set of connecting rods to put into it. So really it came down to us just not having enough parts to be able to fix it, or the ability to get those parts to be able to fix it. Put us in a tough spot with it, because everything leading up to that, like as I told you, we were so prepped for everything, and then just something as simple as that loose ground took everything away. And that just shows why persistence and frankly kind of getting lucky, but what it takes to be able to finish one of these drag and drives. Like, yep, it's good you can make a hero pass here or there, whatever, that's fine, but like to be able to make it all the way through. I'm obviously no stranger to fixing stuff to be able to get it done. I mean, look at the amount of times that I've won drag week. So that's all there. Sick Week just has had my number with things and was as prepared as could be for this Sick Week. So to give you kind of a recap of some of the takeaways from Sick Week, number one, I got to get the car back together so we have everything apart, and then we got to figure everything out. And it's just, it's crazy. I mean, you wait a year, and then you got to wait another year till it's time to go to Sick Week again to be able to see if you got all your ducks in a row to be able to do it. I mean, it's hard and it's cool at the same time that it's not like, hey, next week I can't redeem myself. So you got to wait till a full year to be able to do that. But a couple things with Sick Week, takeaway from Sick Week, is we dropped the number of cars that we let register. The cold conditions, we had to jumbo up the order pretty bad based on track conditions. The only day we had close to a normal day was Orlando, on being able to get started on time, have decent temperature that we're able to get stuff done the way that we need to. And I mean, there were still some oil downs and stuff that definitely slowed up the progression of the day. So we had dropped entries by 50. That netted us 30 less cars because the no-show rate continues to get less and less. And when I say no-show rate, is like the people that sign up for it, there's a good percentage, there's a percentage of them that don't make it to the event. So you got to account for that in your car count on the people that aren't going to be able to make it. So we reduced the count by 50. We got closer to where we wanted. We ended up around the 350 mark. And so going into next year, we'll reduce it again, probably reduce another 25 entries, because ideally somewhere between the 325 to 350 mark is that's the mark where we want to be in. We were at 357, so we were real close to it. We were able to accommodate everybody, so that was good. But provided the weather conditions didn't happen, it would have been awesome with the car count that we had. Definitely the weather conditions hindered that a little bit, but that, is what it is. And like I said earlier, we have 40 people that travel with us. And our goal all the time is to be able to give the best event, put on the best event that we can. And we always have takeaways that things we want to improve and how we can make everything better for everybody. I think that the sick prep was a win. I think reducing the car count was a win, but we need to reduce it further to get in the range where we want to be at. Having the fastest cars there, that definitely is a win. It continues to improve. Truly this is the Super Bowl, where all the fastest cars are going to be there. We have the best track conditions that you can have to be able to support that. All right, and then to address the Larry Larson issue that happened at the event. So 350 people do everything they can to get ready for this event, to be there, and they prepare all year for it. And that is the focus of everything that goes into the event when we get there to day one, that part of it. So Larry Larson came up to me at PRI and he talked to me. He asked, it was a very short conversation, less than a minute, but he asked about Sick Week, and I said, do you want to do Sick Week? And he said, well, I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure. I got a different engine in the car. He talked about a 5-inch billet motor, whatever that was in there. He said, but I still have to dyno it. I still have to test it. I still have to do that. So I'm not sure. I said, well, if you're serious, then get a hold of me. Now, Matt Blasco was right there with me, witnessed the same thing. And I did confer with Matt, with this whole situation. I'm like, did I say something I didn't think that I said? And Matt confirmed that I said, get a hold of me. Well, we never heard from Larry. The team never heard from Larry. Nobody ever heard from Larry. So we have a handful of spots that we use for social media to promote the event, make the event bigger. So those spots are very few, and we have hundreds of inquiries to try and use those spots. Now, if Larry would have contacted us, would we have used one of those spots? Absolutely. He's a legend in drag and drive. So we would have used one of those spots because, Lutz was going to be there. I was there, Bryant was there, La Sala was there, Devin was there, the Swedes were there. All this stuff. And we would have promoted the hell out of Larry Larson coming back and racing with us. So would have loved to had him contact us and give him one of those spots. But fast forward to the day of the event, that's far too late. You can't just show up and get in, and it just doesn't work like that. So, you draw your own conclusions from it, but we definitely would have done everything we could to accommodate him prior to the event. But I mean, on the day of, it's far too late to be able to let somebody in. And the concentration needed to be on the 350 people that were there, ready to participate in the event. And that's what was important to us, are those people, because they're just as important as I am, or as Lutz is, or as anybody is, because that's what makes up the community, is all the people participate in Drag and Drive. It is a great time to be in Drag and Drive because all the events going on, and there's so many opportunities to get out there and experience these events with your car. I mean, 2026 Sick Week, off the chart. We're already planning 2027 Sick Week, and it's going to be epic as well. So make sure you follow Expression of Interest. And once again, 25% of the people were newbies. This was their first event that they went to. So the ability to get into Sick Week is just the same as the very first Sick Week. Is if you're ready to go, if you fill out Expression of Interest and you stay in contact with everything, then when registration opens, I mean, granted it sells out in a few minutes, but like it does take a few minutes to sell out. So as long as you have your ducks in a row, then you can get in just like the 100 new people that were at the event this year. So we'll see you Sick Week 2027.